right, let's get into our Scream 6 review. That was the biggest release of the week. It seems like there's a new thing going around. And before we get to the review, I want to say this. Since when do people like rewatch a franchise before a film? I feel like no one ever used to do that. Like Creed, Scream, everyone rewatched every movie in that franchise.
I think you're just more online now, man.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
That could be it.
I did it before like Endgame. Like I rewatched the entire MCU.
I
don't do it every MCU movie, but like before Endgame.
Yeah. I don't do it unless I haven't watched them. Like Scream and Creed, I hadn't watched Creed 2 and I'd only seen the first and second Scream. Yeah, so I need to like catch up a little bit. But I never used to do it before. No.
I wasn't going to rewatch the entirety of Scream, but then I just kept seeing everyone on Twitter doing it. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to rewatch Scream now.
When did you last watch
it? A while. The first Scream probably like a year ago. 2 through 4 a good while ago.
Yeah.
5 last year when it came out.
Yeah, I hadn't seen any. I'd only seen 5, so I had to watch them, not rewatch them.
Do you know when you watched 5? How come you didn't think to watch 1 first?
I watched a little bit of like a 5.
I watched 5
reboot.
Yeah, I don't know.
5's a reboot, but I always thought that like, or people recommended to me that you should always watch the original so you're familiar with the concept, I guess, and a few of the characters as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I understood it enough. It's Scream. It's right there. You know, it's not too highbrow for me.
Parody slasher horror comedy.
But yeah, I don't know. I like to do them before the big releases. I don't know if I'll do it for like Mission Impossible or something. I don't know. Maybe I will.
I have to do it for Mission Impossible because I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie except 1 and 2.
Yeah, I've only seen 1.
Silly goose.
I gotta do it. All right, let's get into the review. Scream 6 seems to be getting some favorable reviews. It seems like a lot of people are being overhyping it, as a lot of people on film Twitter said. So we'll start with Tyler. We'll start with Tyler because I know Tyler enjoyed it, but I know he's not like. I think he has it.
Tyler is actually a Ghostface goon.
I really liked Scream 6. I just thought some people were ranking it really, really high. So should we go through like non-spoilers first? And
yeah.
I will say to start, I didn't watch it. You're free to spoil.
When we get into spoilers, Cam, you should like turn off your head. But I feel like a movie like Scream, like it doesn't ruin it, but it's like it kind of ruins.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
What I would say to that is 5 minutes within the Scream film, he'll probably know who the killers are anyway. I think it was like crazy.
I'll be honest. The first 2,
that's so whack.
Just to start general Scream discussion real quick. The first 2, I genuinely didn't see the killers coming. I think it's unfair in the first one that they kill one of the killers, so that's not fair. But I didn't see them coming. And then the third and fourth,
I don't think I did in the first 2. To be fair,
the third and fourth, I kind of got it. The 5th, obviously, I didn't see coming because I think you'll get the 6th.
Okay.
All right, we'll see.
I've never.
All right, go Tyler.
Maybe I'll mute you guys.
I've always seen because I haven't seen a single Scream movie until just a couple days ago, so I ran through the whole franchise and I read people's reviews and then like they'll say like, oh, this movie's one was really predictable or this one wasn't. For me, I never found them like crazy over the top predictable. Like to me, Glass Onion was easily more predictable than any Scream movie I've seen by like many miles. Like Glass Onion, I knew immediately, and Screams like it took me a little longer. But similar to I think what Cam said about Glass Onion when that came out is kind of similar about Scream. Like it's never really been about who's the killer going to be. Like that's definitely a layer to it and you want it to be good. But at the same time, there's like a ton of other elements to each Scream film that is kind of the reason you're going there for the slashes, the kills, the iconic moments, the final boss, the final scenes. But yeah, for me, Scream 6, I enjoyed it. Like I said, the franchise as a whole has blown me away. Like how much I've just genuinely really loved every movie except Scream 3, but like every other movie I just had a blast with, and that still was the case here. Like I gave it a 3-star. I just thought, I don't know. For me, like the plot armor is just getting to the point where it's like ridiculous. Like the fact of how many times they made jokes about it, and then like just kept it, and I'm just like just take a risk, just do something. Like you have no balls, just do something, and. Yeah, and I feel like I kind of posted on Twitter, like I feel like going to New York City just didn't really matter much. Like I feel like the subway scene's like the only reason they needed to be in the city, because other than that, they were just like on a college campus that like easily could have looked like a college campus that's like in like a college town where it's not like a city, but it's just like, you know, a campus with apartments. Like you didn't really ever see like a Times Square scene or anything like that. So it's just kind of like, what's the point? Like, I guess I get they're in college and they just chose NYC, but it's just like, I feel like they marketed so much about like Ghostface takes Manhattan and New York City just to like literally have like a subway scene, which like, again, like, you know, pretty much every major city will have a subway in it.
Marketing was gas though, to be fair.
Yeah, like the posters were insane, and all the trailers were very good.
One of the posters was in Times Square. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, well, like this,
it was like on the. Down.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Damn, they should have got Times Square.
Yeah, so like I thought all the acting was really good in this one. So for me, honestly, like Scream 5 from last year, Melissa Barrera as like the lead, I didn't really love her performance. I thought like it left a lot to be desired. But I will give her credit where credit's due. I thought she improved this year. Like I thought she did a better job. So shout out her. And then, you know, they like this isn't a spoiler because we're not in the spoiler section yet, but like in 2022 they started with the whole she's having flashbacks of her father thing. I never really loved that like whole involvement and plot line because like not only was he like a Ghostface killer, like he was like the worst one because in the original one they like not only murdered, they did other things like that are, you know, near the same level as crime as murders. It's like that extra element that they did in the first one. It's like her Sydney's mother. It's like, I don't know. That's why it's like even weirder when they keep calling him back and he's kind of like, he's not like they don't make him sympathetic or anything, but it's kind of just like, ew, I don't really want to see you anymore, dude. But yeah, so I'll leave it there for non-spoilers. I thought it was fun. I gave it a 6.2 out of 10 for 3 stars. I thought the opening scene was quite lacking, and for me, it's similar to like Creed training montages. Like I said with Creed 3, like it's not necessarily that it was bad. It's just the other series entries have had such banger ones that like in comparison, I didn't love it as much. But yeah, I'll leave it there. It was definitely like the goriest in my opinion. I feel like they upped the ante on that aspect for sure. Yeah. So yeah.
Seth?
Yeah, I'm probably the highest. Obviously, Cam hasn't seen it yet, so we don't know. I don't love any Scream film, I don't think. I like all of them, apart from 3, which I still don't think is bad. I think it's just perfectly average. I'd only seen Scream 1 and 2, which I watched about a year ago. I don't know why I didn't continue it, and then last few days I obviously ticked off 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think 6 for me is my second favorite so far. Whereas I give it a 4 out of 5, and I did give first Scream a 4 out of 5. I do think the first Scream is superior in many ways. I think a lot of the time I get this question is like, how can you put things at the same ranking? It's like it's out of a 5-star rating. Just because a film is the same rating doesn't mean I compare it to that film identically. I still think the first Scream is superior in my eyes. But I really enjoyed it. I do think it falls into the tropes that we've seen many times before. But I think I did say in my review that it also progresses it by furthering the brutality, which I enjoyed. I do think it was the goriest and most brutal. And I did really like some of the sequences as well. I think the subway sequence was really good. I think the shop sequence was really good as well. They were probably some of my favorite sequences in the last few films, I'm going to say. Some of the jokes, you know, it is whatever. And this meta-analysis you can kind of like or not. I actually really liked the opening scene. I don't think it was the strongest in all Scream films, but I think it was the best in a couple of them. Yeah, probably the best for me in a few of them for now. And I just think it furthered it by increasing the set pieces and making it better. I do think it was predictable myself. I did see it coming like pretty straight away, to be honest. Which, in fairness to the film, it didn't really dampen my viewing experience because I think Scream is just one of those things where it's like a lot of people will say about Marvel, what I said about Creed as well, where there is obvious issues, there is obvious flaws, but I can kind of just sit back and relax and have a good time with it because it's stupid in a way that it presents violence and it presents, you know, nostalgia towards horror films that I know and love. And, you know, you get these references and you get excited about them because it's like, you know, this is my favorite horror film, whatever it might be. So yeah, I rated a 4 out of 5. Obviously, we'll go into spoilers a little bit more because Scream's one of those films where you kind of have to go into that a little bit more. But yeah, I really liked it. I didn't love it. It's my second favorite in the franchise.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I didn't love it, but I did really like it. Maybe I'm stupid, but I truly did not see like that reveal coming. I think that what the Scream movies do a good job at is like genuinely masking who Ghostface is. It could have been the therapist. It could have been Melissa Barbaros or whatever her name is. It could have been her boyfriend. Could have been the roommates at any point. It could have been the fucking siblings for all I care. I think they do such a good job at masking who the killer is. And I truly did not see it coming. It was a nice little twist, especially given what happened to two of the characters in the movie. So it was a nice little twist. I enjoyed this movie. I really like what they're doing with this soft reboot. I mentioned in my TikTok review, Scream 6 to Scream 5 feels like Glass Onion to Knives Out, where it just feels bigger, feels bolder. The gores, like Tyler said, are more brutal. They're more creative. They're gorier. But again, bigger isn't always better. I still like Scream 5 better, but I do think Scream 6 is top 3 of the franchise.
Do you have a top 3? Oh, okay.
I go the original Scream, then Scream 5, then Scream 6. Yeah, I really love these two soft reboot films. I also think it's hilarious that people rip on the MCU for being formulaic, but all of film Twitter is gassing up the Scream movies for just loving them, even though they are the 6 most formulaic films you could ever watch.
Pretty much.
I thought that was funny. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I love our cast of characters. I love our new final girl. I think it's hilarious. What they're doing with these characters. I like that they just keep playing into the tropes of like a sequel or a requel or a soft reboot, and they even acknowledge it in the movie. And for some reason, those are jokes that for me are just not getting old. I don't know why. They literally they had the exact same conversation in Scream 5 about like who the killer is in a requel and a sequel and who you should be on the lookout for, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's hilarious.
They know how to use references to a way.
Yeah, I just like how self-aware these movies are. Like the people writing Scream are like, all right, these people are just coming to watch a fun slasher movie. Like we don't need to like Tyler said, he wants them to take risks. I don't think they want to take risks. I think they like this little formula that they got going with these Scream movies. Just sit people down in theater, give them 2 hours of a fun slasher, and that's it. They don't need to take risks, and I kind of enjoy that. I like that they play into all these tropes. But yeah, I went with a 3.5 out of 5 here. I think it's just slightly below Scream 5 and just a hair ahead of 2 and 4, and then 3 is the one outlier in an otherwise really
I was going to say
franchise.
Before we get into spoilers, do you want to just run through our rankings for Scream? So
I go 1, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3.
Okay, I go 1, 6, 4, 5, 2, 3. Tyler,
I am 1, 4, 2, 5, 6, 3.
All right, well, at least we all agree on 2 things. 1 is first, 3 is last.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, we can. Cam, I want to make sure you've muted us because we're going to go into spoilers for like 10 minutes.
I think we're good.
I'll take that as a yes. All right. No response. All right. So we'll go into spoilers. So in the movie, we are introduced to a cop. His daughter ends up being murdered at the hands of Ghostface. This is where maybe I'm stupid. And I know it's happened before in Scream films where people have died and then, they're still alive and they're Ghostface. If you kill someone in a Scream movie, I rule them off my target list. Like, you're gone. Like, you're not Ghostface. And I know that's a flaw of mine, but it turns out that the 2 Ghostfaces in this film are the brother and sister of Richie.
You predicted the brother, the curly haired guy, didn't you?
No, not at all.
Really?
They were
referencing that so much, though.
Bro, I swear. I know that's why.
That is like a double bluff for you. Bro, that's like a double bluff.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
They bamboozled me. They referenced that like he's just like the new nerdy quiet friend many times.
It's almost like they can't put it in our face and then do it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I was like, okay, they can't just keep shoving this down my throat and then actually making it happen. And I don't know. I honestly think that made the reveal good because I was like, "Oh wow."
Yeah, I kind of get that. To be fair,
that's literally exactly what they did.
They literally showed you, and then you're like,
"Yeah, exactly."
It's quite impressive. If anything. It's audacious.
Yeah, and then I just again like you, Ghostface kills the daughter of the cop, who turns out to be another Ghostface, and then the cop comes out of that building and is obviously like hysterically crying, and he's like, "You fuck with my family, I fuck with you," or something. And I'm like, all right, he's not Ghostface. Like, come on. Like, his daughter just died. He's got a clear vendetta against this motherfucker. He's out here helping them left and right. I don't know. I think they masked it really well. Seth, I know you said you predicted it, and it didn't hinder your viewing experience.
Really?
How did you predict that?
I don't know. Like, there was a weird thing when it was just like, you know, when they're in the apartment or whatever, and then she just comes out and says these random lines. I just had a feeling it was like the innocent neighbor, to be honest, the innocent kind of flatmate. And then I actually thought, I was like, with I can never remember his name. What's his name? The curly-haired guy, Avatar guy. What's his name in the film?
Oh God, I don't know.
You know what I mean, anyway.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, I know. Ghostface.
The flatmate Ghostface. Yeah, we'll say that. Curly-haired Ghostface. And I honestly thought at one point, I was like, okay, so he's the killer. And then I was like, well, no, because they're showing our face too much. And then I was like, no, they're gonna double bluff here, and they're gonna act like he's the killer, and then he's gonna be the killer. So maybe I just thought too much of it, but I 100% predicted that they were going to be out first because they were the flatmates that were conveniently with them, conveniently placed with them, answered their ad, whatever, tried to find it out, and then she just kept coming in and saying random lines. I will say that when she died, I was like, okay, maybe not. And then he started saying the dad started saying some stuff down the line. I can't remember exactly what he said. And then I just kind of put two and two together. I wasn't sure the whole time if he was in it, the dad, because I couldn't really tell from his reaction. But I did think it was just too convenient for them to be placed with them in the apartments for them not to be involved somehow. That was kind of what gave it away for me.
That's exactly why I didn't think it was them, because like it was too obvious. Like
they'll start triple bluffing you next time. They're just going to do it again differently. That's the thing.
So it's like they're the new roommates, they're the new characters. Like this is just too obvious.
Well, but it's a trope, isn't it?
And like so many times they were like, "You're top of my list, suspect, curly head guys." So
it
was a double bluff. They executed the double bluff well.
I respect it.
I definitely didn't predict it at all, so I'm not gonna like sit here and act like, oh, I knew who it was. So just before I even say this, like I did not know it at all. But I did feel, I like had the feeling it was something to do with Richie's family, because you know how they did like the whole, in this movie it was all about going back in history through the screams. They had like the Scream 5 mask, 4, 3, 2, 1. And they were kind of bringing back all the histories. So I thought at first that's what they were doing with when she got a call from Richie. So it's like, oh, then the next phone call is going to be from someone, from Scream 4, and then keep going back. But the fact that it kept coming from Richie, I was like, I feel like they must I don't think it's like a cloned phone situation. I feel like they have the phone. So I didn't know like it was like the family, but I figured it was like someone close to Richie, because I pretty quickly was like, this isn't going to be a clone phone. Like I think they just like have his phone. So yeah, that's like, because it's interesting because they just kept going back in history through all the Scream movies, but they just kept staying constant with all the calls would come from Richie's phone. But yeah, I definitely didn't predict it. It was a good double bluff, I thought. I think towards the end it got predictable that the dad was in on it, because like when they were in the park and they decided to go, he seemed a little sketchy. Like when they were starting to catch on, he started to kind of like be like, oh, I don't know about that guy, let's not go do this. And then like it's just another trope that like, and when like with Scream, when it hits on tropes, like that's not a bad thing. Like that's what it does. It like tackles tropes and talks about them. And like another trope with like the sisters, that they didn't really show her body, just completely dead and gored up. And that's kind of like rule number one for any horror movie, is like if you don't see the body dead, you should always be like weary that they're going to come back. So that's like the oldest trick in the book for a horror film, and Scream pulled it off pretty well, I thought.
Did either of you guys believe it when, at the end when they're in the kind of lair, whatever, the lair with all the Scream memorabilia and whatever, or stab? Did you believe it when Kirby shut the gate and then she gave that look because he just told them that it was Kirby? Did you believe it? Or
she gave me bad vibes. I genuinely thought she might have something to do with it. Yeah.
Interesting.
She gave me sus vibes. And then also like I was fully on the dad's side for a while, especially after his daughter was like murdered. So once he like told the news that like she was mentally deranged, she hasn't been on the force for 2 months, I was like, shit, she's one of the Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just because they played it off so well that like I truly did not think it was the cop. Like of everyone on screen, he was like my least predicted guy.
There was points when I thought it might be the what's the main character called? Sam's
Sam Carpenter. Yeah.
Sam's boyfriend. Yeah.
That
There were
I
points when
I thought it was him the whole time.
he was never there, was he? When it happened,
That would have also been a double bluff. Like they were setting up
Exactly.
two double bluffs. Like him being the killer
Yeah,
would have also
would.
been the same. Seth would probably be saying the same things. Like it was
Yeah.
just so obvious.
It was
him,
them
you know?
too. Yeah.
So like they
It was
definitely set up
too
two double
obvious.
bluffs. It could have been. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I thought they crafted this pretty well.
That's why I respect the writing because, like, oh, come on, you mysterious neighbor who happens to never be around when the murders are going on, blah blah blah. Good-looking
Jacked.
guy,
Able
Yeah.
to handle
Jacked.
anyone.
but he's also like really like deep toned and
Yeah.
like really serious. Like, come on, like that's a killer in my book. But yeah, I think this movie does a really good job, like I said, of just masking who the killer is. I truly did not see it coming. Once the cop shot Hayden Panettiere's character, I was like, oh shit. But yeah, anything else we want to say about Scream? There's not much to it. It's the sixth movie in the Scream franchise, so you kind of know what you're going into. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna watch a nice little slasher with a lot of gore, and hopefully the writing does well enough where you don't predict who the killer is. So, anything else on Scream?
No, I enjoyed it. Really liked it.
A couple quick like things. So like I don't know. I get it. So it's like they also did a whole double bluff with the requel characters, and they're kind of like, oh, like, you know, anything's fair game. These people can die, and then they just don't kill anyone. So that's like another double bluff. But I don't know. Like I feel like it just would have worked to just kill someone off, mainly because they're just not adding much at this point. Like they're like they've been involved. Like Courtney Cox has been a decently integral part for every Scream.
Yeah,
And she's just so not needed in this movie that it would have been so easy to just give people a good shock and just kill off someone, because she'll probably be even more shoehorned in Scream 7. And then
it's also the fucking siblings, man. Just die already. I
Dude.
swear to God, that kid got stabbed 44 times in the
Yeah.
chest.
Well, Is that just gonna be a thing now?
It was just
Like,
funny though.
I think I feel like that's gonna be a thing now. Like Scream 7, he's gonna be stabbed like 80 times
Yeah.
and survive.
Stabbed
Do we
52
think
times.
that this will be the last Scream 7, or do you think it'll be a continued
No,
basis?
I think as long as, because like I said, the Scream franchise is a very above average franchise. I think the first one is incredible. I think 2, 4, 5, and 6 are very above average films. I don't think they're producing anything all time, and you may disagree with me there, but I think as long as they keep banging out these like fun slasher films, Scream has a big enough cult following where they're gonna make $100 million plus every single time they release.
Everyone knows, like, it's not like Halloween where they have been crazy consistent, like you say.
Yeah, that's the
Only
thing.
one film for most people is like,
A little,
you know,
iffy, yeah.
bad
Yeah.
or average, and then the rest of them are like okay to really, really good. So it's like people are gonna watch them, aren't they?
Outside of like Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy, I don't know if there's another more consistent horror franchise out there. Like, yeah, you
I
can't say
can't
that
think
about
of one.
make
I can't
maybe
think of one.
Aliens, depending on how poorly you hold Aliens 3.
Or Alien Covenant.
Covenant,
I haven't seen that yet.
Prometheus. I think Covenant and Prometheus are fine
I think
movies,
Prometheus is great. I
Yeah.
like Prometheus.
but I in terms of horror franchise consistency, I don't think it gets better than Scream.
Yeah.
and Sam Raimi's.
You can argue other horror franchises' highs are higher, but then their lows are probably lower. That's
Way
the thing.
lower.
Yeah,
Like
like,
Halloween.
Scream 6 like is doing very well at the box office and doing very well with reviews, so it's hitting both the money and the ratings marker, so it'll keep going. But I think for Scream 7, I think it's clear they're trying to, like, I think they're really going to try to push something with Sam Carpenter.
I
like
hope they do, man.
I think it would be pretty sick,
hope.
and I feel like George said, like, this isn't making so much money and doing so well that I think they'll continue it forever. But I feel like if they wanted a natural way to end it, since like her dad was Scream was Stu Macher, or was he was the other one? I don't know. He was one of the first guys.
Billy Loomis.
Yeah, Billy Loomis. So like the fact that he was the original, like bookending it with her, I feel like would be like a very good way to like end it all, and like like having her like kill Sydney in Scream 7, I feel like would be like a great way to bookend everything, because Sydney in this movie is the same thing as Rocky and Creed 3, where there was a disagreement with the producers, like that's. And like the producer even said for the Scream's case, at least they're like, yeah, we had like major rewrites to the script because like of her non-involvement. So like she was absolutely going to be part of it. I did miss the hello Sydney on the phone. Like but for me, like I think Creed 3 wasn't necessarily worse, but it's like I feel like it made more sense for Rocky to be in that. Whereas this is like, yeah, Sydney should just get the fuck away. Like when they're like, yeah, she's just gone doing her own thing. I'm like, respect. I would too.
I missed her solely because I very much fancy her.
Yeah, she is. I think
she's great.
You know, her and Laurie Strode and Ellen Ripley, they're the Scream queens. All right, so I go a 3.5 out of 5 here. Tyler goes a 3 out of 5. Seth went a 4 out of 5. A 4 out of 5. Mr. Cam Walsh has not watched it yet.